Hey everybody, Viking here today, and I have an updated profile for my madolche deck. I took this deck to my locals on Saturday, went undefeated, got first place, so I'm pretty excited about that. The deck did really well. I didn't duel any Burning Abyss, Shadow, or Cleaforth players because we don't really have players like that, because the Burning Abyss and Shadow players are working all the time now, and then the Cleaforth player usually plays in Salt Lake whenever he does play. I didn't really see any of those decks, but I did see a mirror match. Ended up winning in the end because of a last minute tech choice that I put in the deck before the tourney started. And then I dueled a spellbook deck, and that was pretty challenging. It wasn't as hard as the mirror match, of course, but having to play against my own deck basically is just awful. I didn't like it at all. But other than that, I did really well, and I really liked how I have the deck built, and I feel like it could have done really well if a Burning Abyss player or a Shadow player was there. So I started testing it on DevPro with how I have it built, and it actually works really well against Burning Abyss and Shadow, believe it or not. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. And to start off, I have 3 mageleine, pretty standard. And then I have 3 anjelly. I decided to put her up to 3 because I finally got a third one, and also because she's just more consistent. I mean, if you open her and mewfeuille, you win. So I really like having the 3. And then I have 2 messengelato. I hate having 3 messengelato. He draws dead all the time, and I really don't like that. So I decided to go with 2 for the consistency, and it works out way better than having 3 did. And I really like having 2. And I have 3 hootcake and 3 mewfeuille. Mewfeuille and anjelly basically equal game, so that's why I like having the 3. And then for non-madolches, I have 2 maxx. This is another card that I changed up. I added this in here. The reason why is because every deck special summons, and why not get draws off their summons? And this deck just sort of had the space because I took out the Trap Tricks engine. And the maxx's worked out really well because even if you get 1 or 2 draws, it usually helps out a lot. And then that last minute tech choice, the 2 effect failures. This is that card I was talking about. Last minute I added in before tourney started, and this is actually what got me game against my mirror match. This card is actually really good, and so I started testing on DevPro with it, and it actually works really well, like I was saying before with Burning Abyss and Shadow. And I actually really like having card in here, so I might change up the deck a little bit, but I'm thinking about keeping these in here. But we'll see, I guess. Moving on to spells, I have 2 Chateau and 2 Ticket, pretty standard. And then I have 2 Pot of Duality. I had this at 3 for the longest time, after not having it at all, but I kept drawing it dead and just not having a use for it because maxx usually gets you what you need, or mageleine gets you into what you need, things like that. And so duality just didn't work out for me at 3, but I really like it at 2, because then you still have it when you want it, basically, but you don't draw it dead all the time. You just, it's there when you need it, but not there when you don't. And then I have 3 MST because you really got to stop back row, and especially Vandy's Emptiness. Moving on to traps, I have 3 Dimensional Prison. I really like Dimensional Prison, as you probably noticed. And I have 3 trap stun. You really got to stop back row, especially for this deck, because if they stop your summons, you're screwed. And then I have 2 Fiendish Chain. This is another new card that I decided to put in here. The reason why is because for 1 it negates effects, and for 2 it stops attacks. So if you go like Mageleine, Duality first turn, and you set back row and you have one of these, and your opponent goes to attack, you can activate this to stop the attack, but also if that monster has a pesky effect, you can stop its effect too. And now your Mageleine stays on the field for next turn, and that extra monster on the field really helps push for game the next turn. So I really liked having the Fiendish Chains, and they worked out really well. And then I have 2 Breakthrough Skill. You really got to stop effects. That's kind of all there is to say about it. And one of the reasons I really like Breakthrough Skill still is because you can use it on your turn when it's in grave. So if there's like a monster that can't be destroyed by battle or something like that, or a monster that can't be targeted by monster effects or something, I don't know, you can just banish this from grave, negate its effect, get over it. So I really liked it. And then 1 Palooza. I actually have never gotten this card to get off. The only time I've ever used this card was to bait out back row. Like if they had 2 or 3 back row set, I would activate this as kind of a bluff, and see if they Solemn Warninged it, and sure enough they almost always do. So now they wasted their Solemn. I can go off and do my summons, usually unhindered, and not be worried about it. So Palooza, that's the only time I've ever used it, is to bait out a Solemn Warning. Other than that, it doesn't get used at all. And then I have one compulse and one bottomless. I'm not running solemn or torrential. The reason why is because torrential, it gets rid of my monsters, and I really don't like getting rid of my own monsters, especially since if you destroy your own monsters, you don't get their shuffle effects. So I really don't like torrential in this deck. Also because you want to try to keep a monster on the field as much as possible. And then also Solemn Warning. That was a card that I did have in here, but I ended up switching it out for the Veilers last minute just because I felt like if I could keep as many life points as possible throughout my duels, like if I could just keep my life points ahead of my opponents as much as possible, I could usually pull through. And sure enough, that is usually how this deck works. Is as long as you have more life points than your opponent, even if they stop your first set of summons, you can usually punk out and later on end up getting game just because you have more life points than them, and then because your back row protects you. So that's the reason why I didn't really like Solemn. Like, obviously it's a good card, and I would probably put it back in if I didn't have the Veilers. But for right now, I really like having the Veilers, and we'll see what I end up changing if I ever do decide to add a Solemn Warning in. But we'll see, I guess. Moving on to extra deck, though, I have 3 tiramisu, pretty standard. The 1 invoker is really good. 2 leviair, I finally picked up my second one. 1 zenmaines, 1 cowboy, 1 heartland Draco, 1 soul of Silver Mountain. This also helped me get game in one of my duels because I was able to lock down a back row, attack over something, summon a monster, and it was like an anjelly, I think, that I summoned. And then I was able to use Anjelly's effect to go hootcake, and then hootcake effect, and just do a bunch of other stuff. And this really helped out with that. And then I had 1 Nightmare Shark, 1 101, 1 maestroke, 1 Abyss Dweller. This is really good against Burning Abyss and Shadows. And then just because I have 1 armaedes, because I run the tour guides, or not the tour guides, wow, the effect veilers. Because I run the effect veilers, I figured I don't really have any other cards to run. Like, I could have just stuck in another rank 3 or rank 4, but I don't really have any other good ones that would have gotten used. So I thought, why not just add armaedes in here, because I have the effect veilers, just to see what happens. Given that I never used it, obviously, but it was in there just in case, and it'll probably come out for like a Castel or something one day, but for now I guess I'm running armaedes. But that was the deck profile for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what I should change. And obviously with the Veiler thing, I would definitely try testing it out before telling me that it's bad, because it does really help out against Burning Abyss. It helps out against the Mirror Match. It helps out against Fire Fist. It can help out against Shadows if you use it on the right cards. It's a really useful card, I feel, and it actually helped me out get game on, against my Mirror Match and whatever else. So I really like it, and I would definitely tell you guys to try it before telling me that it's a bad card, because in all honesty, it's not that bad of a card. Other than that, there are probably some more changes I can make to the deck. As I said earlier, I might add in Solemn Warning back in, possibly, maybe. Other than that, I can't really think of any other cards to run. Like I said before, I don't like duality at 3, so if you're telling me to run 3 duality, I'm very dead set against that, because I really, really hate 3 duality in this deck, because you just see it when you don't need it, and I really dislike seeing cards that I don't need. So I don't know, I don't like having the 3 duality. I like it at 2, because then you still have it there for the consistency, but then you don't have it, when you don't need it usually. I don't know. That's just my opinion, and I really like it at 2. But other than that, let me know any other things you guys might know. One of my friends who used to run this deck was telling me about TG Warwolf, because that actually came in handy for him, because again, it's an extra monster you can get on the field pretty easily. But other than that, I don't know what I'll end up changing later on or whatever else, but for right now, I really like how the deck is. And again, I did go undefeated in my locals. Given that I didn't do a Burning Abyss or Shadow, that might have been why, but I don't know, because I usually beat Burning Abyss Shadow on DevPro. But we'll see later on if I do end up changing anything. I have a regionals coming up March 7th, so I might run this deck. I might run Blackwings. I don't know, because we're supposed to be getting that premium gold box. The new premium gold is coming out on like March 3rd or something like that, and that has confirmed Blackwing support in it, like new Blackwing cards. And so I'm hoping that we get our Chris, our Pilica, and our 2 levels, or not 2 level, but our 2 synchros. because if we get that support that they have on Dev Pro in that Premium Gold, it's going to be really stupid, and that's probably the deck I'll run in regionals if the Premium Gold comes out before then, and if I can pick up enough of the boxes to get the cards I need. But other than that, that's it for the profile and whatever else. So be sure to hit me up on any questions you guys might have about the game, or anything else like that, or if you have any comments about the deck, letting me know what cards are good or whatever else. I'm always open to suggestions. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later.